She was 23 years old, and she was supposed to go home tomorrow. Healthy, strong, ready. She had survived the pregnancy, survived the labor. Her baby was born alive and breathing. The hardest part was over. That's what everyone told her. That's what she believed. 3 days later, she was dead. Somewhere in Vienna, a newborn cried beside a bed where his mother would never wake up. And nobody, not a single doctor in that hospital, could explain why. She wasn't the first. She wasn't the last. In the doctor-run maternity ward of one of the most advanced hospitals in the world, the death rate sometimes reached levels that shocked even the doctors themselves. In the midwife ward next door, the numbers were dramatically lower. Same hospital, same city, same building, completely different outcomes. Healthy women, normal pregnancies, routine deliveries, dead within days. And the most terrifying part? The doctors continued practicing in that ward every single day because they genuinely believed they were helping. Nobody understood what was killing those mothers. This is the story of the deadliest maternity ward in history, and the one man who figured out why and paid everything for it. The Vienna General Hospital was considered one of the finest medical institutions in the world, cutting edge, progressive, prestigious. Women traveled from across Europe to give birth there. They believed they were in the safest possible hands. They were wrong. The maternity wing was divided into 2 wards. Ward 1, Ward 2. Both delivered babies. Both had staff. Both were in the same building. But something was different, something nobody could explain. Ward 2, run by midwives, had a consistently lower death rate. Ward 1, run by trained doctors, had a death rate that sometimes far exceeded it. Women in Vienna knew. They begged not to be admitted to Ward 1. Some gave birth on the street outside the hospital deliberately because they believed their chances were better in the gutter than inside Ward 1. Think about that. The most advanced maternity ward in one of the most advanced cities in the world, and women preferred to give birth alone in the street rather than enter it. And the doctors inside? They had no idea why. They blamed bad air. They blamed overcrowding. They blamed the women themselves. Every explanation was wrong. And every day, more mothers died. But then, a young doctor arrived, and he started asking a question nobody else had thought to ask. His name was Ignaz Semmelweis, 28 years old, Hungarian, ambitious, obsessive. He had just been appointed as an assistant in Ward 1, the deadly ward. And from his very first week, something bothered him, not the death rate itself. Every doctor knew about the death rate. What bothered Semmelweis was the pattern. Ward 2, midwives, dramatically lower deaths. Ward 1, doctors, far higher. Same building, same patients, same procedures. Why was Ward 1 so much deadlier? He started eliminating variables one by one. Was it the position women gave birth in? He changed it in Ward 1. The death rate didn't change. Was it overcrowding? He adjusted the numbers. The death rate didn't change. Was it psychological? Some suggested that the priest who administered last rites walked through Ward 1, terrifying dying women into giving up. Semmelweis had the priest take a different route. The death rate didn't change. Weeks passed, then months. Every theory collapsed. Every experiment failed. And while he searched, mothers kept dying. The hospital was becoming a graveyard. He still had no idea why. What invisible thing could possibly kill only one ward? He had no answer until the spring of 1847, when his friend died. His name was Jakub Kolečka, a respected professor of forensic medicine. He hadn't given birth. He hadn't been a patient. He had been performing a routine autopsy when a student accidentally cut his finger with a scalpel. Within days, Kolečka developed a fever. Then, the same progression Semmelweis had watched hundreds of mothers go through. Chills, deterioration, organ failure, Kolechka died. When Semmelweis read the autopsy report, he stopped. He read it again. The internal damage in Kolechka's body was almost identical to the damage found in the mothers who died in Ward 1. The same lesions, the same progression, the same destruction. A forensic professor who cut his finger during an autopsy, and mothers dying after childbirth in Ward 1. What did they have in common? Semmelweis sat with that question for days. He stared at the report, then at the records from Ward 1. Two completely different deaths, one identical pattern. Suddenly, everything made sense. In Ward 1, the doctors came directly from the autopsy room. They examined cadavers in the morning, then walked to Ward 1 and delivered babies in the afternoon, without washing their hands, without changing their clothes. Semmelweis linked the deaths to contamination carried by doctors from autopsies into the delivery room. Ward 2 had no autopsy room. The midwives never touched cadavers. That was the difference. That had always been the difference. And the solution was almost insultingly simple. Wash your hands. That was the entire solution. The deadliest mystery in the hospital could be stopped in less than a minute. But here's what nobody talks about. If Semmelweis was right, then every doctor in Ward 1 had been unknowingly killing their own patients for years. That realization didn't just change medicine, it destroyed a man. In May 1847, Semmelweis introduced a new rule in Ward 1. Before entering the maternity ward, every doctor, every student, every assistant must wash their hands with a chlorinated lime solution. He forced hand washing with chlorinated lime, and the death rate fell dramatically. Month after month, the numbers dropped. For the first time in years, Ward 1's death rate had fallen to levels comparable with Ward 2. Mothers were surviving, babies were going home with their mothers. The evidence was right there. Semmelweis had found the answer. Every day he knew mothers were dying from something that could be stopped in less than a minute. And that's when everything fell apart. The medical establishment did not celebrate Semmelweis. They rejected him. Because if he was right, then doctors had been causing deaths for years. Educated, respected, well-meaning doctors, walking from autopsy rooms to delivery rooms, carrying contamination on their hands. The idea was unacceptable. Doctors were gentlemen. Gentlemen had clean hands. The very suggestion was an insult to the entire profession. And so, they chose pride over evidence. While they argued, mothers kept dying in hospitals across Europe. Semmelweis knew it. Every morning he woke up knowing that somewhere, another mother would die from something that no longer had to happen. Every day he watched powerful men refuse to listen. Every day he knew that the answer was simple, and that nobody would use it. That consumed him. He became angry, isolated, erratic. By 1865, his colleagues had him committed to a mental institution. He was 47 years old. 2 weeks after being admitted, Ignaz Semmelweis was dead. His idea was rejected, and he died before the medical world accepted what he had discovered. In 1867, just 2 years after his death, a British surgeon named Joseph Lister published his work on antiseptic procedures. Within a decade, the medical world had accepted what Semmelweis had been saying for 18 years. He discovered the life-saving method. Later, science explained why it worked, and by then, he was already gone. There is a term used in medicine and science today, the Semmelweis reflex. The automatic rejection of new evidence that contradicts established belief. The instinct to protect what you already know, even when what you know is killing people. It happens in medicine. It happens in science. It happens everywhere humans hold power and resist being wrong. The mothers who died in Ward 1 died without knowing why. Their names were never recorded. Their stories were never told. But every time a surgeon scrubs their hands before an operation, every time a doctor reaches for sanitizer before touching a patient, every time a life is saved by something as simple as clean hands, those mothers are part of that story. They just never got to know it. The deadliest weapon in that hospital wasn't disease, it wasn't childbirth, it was the refusal to believe that clean hands could save lives.